Welcome back to our channel, World of Coins. As you knew that old is gold, but these Abraham Lincoln pennies coins that are most valuable than you think, you're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're going to talk about something many collectors often overlook, a coin that's small in size but potentially massive in value. We're talking about the United States 1-cent coin from 1981. You might be thinking, it's just a penny. But hold on, because by the end of this video, you'll see why this seemingly ordinary coin is actually an incredible find for collectors. Let's dive into the fascinating world of the 1981 US penny and explore why it could be worth more than your average change jar find. We'll discuss its history, design, rarity, and what makes this specific penny stand out from millions of others. The 1981 US penny is often found circulating among other pennies from different years. At first glance, it looks just like any other penny you've encountered, copper-plated, small, and with that familiar design featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. The reverse showcases the iconic Lincoln Memorial, with its intricate columns and steps. So, what makes this coin so special, you ask? To answer that question, let's take a step back and look at the history of the penny. In 1981, the U.S. Mint was still using a coinage design that had been in place since 1909, when Lincoln's image was first chosen to adorn the cent. The penny has undergone various changes in metal composition over the years, but the 1981 coin stands out for a couple of reasons. First, it was minted in a period when the penny was still made primarily of copper. The mint had been transitioning to a copper-plated zinc composition, which began in 1982. So, if you happen to have an authentic 1981 penny made of copper, you might already have something valuable on your hands, but the real excitement comes when we talk about the rarity factor. The 1981 penny wasn't a particularly low mintage coin, so most people would think that it doesn't hold much value. However, there's a very specific variant of the 1981 penny that has piqued the interest of collectors, and that's the 1981D penny with a minting error. If you're lucky enough to find one of these pennies, you could be in for a big surprise. You see, during the 1981 minting process, there were some coins that were struck with a die that was either worn out or improperly aligned. This resulted in a penny that has some unique features. The errors could be something like a double strike, where the image of Abraham Lincoln appears more than once on the coin, or perhaps there is a misaligned die, which causes the design to appear shifted or off-center. Coins with minting errors like these are highly coveted by collectors because they're one of a kind. It's these errors that make a seemingly ordinary penny turn into a rare and valuable treasure. Finding an error coin in excellent condition is no easy feat, and that's why these coins are worth so much more than face value. Even pennies with slight errors can attract attention, but the more significant and noticeable the mistake, the higher the potential value. A perfectly preserved 1981 penny with an error can fetch a pretty penny at auctions and private sales. And believe it or not, some of these coins have sold for astronomical amounts. Now, let's talk about how you can determine whether you have a valuable 1981 penny in your possession. First, you'll want to examine the coin closely. Look for any signs of wear or damage that would indicate it's been in circulation for a long time. Coins in pristine condition are always more valuable than those that have been heavily used. Check for any of those unique minting errors, double strikes, off-center designs, or faded details on Lincoln or the memorial. These are the kind of features that can make a coin go from being worth just a penny to being worth hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars. If you think you found an error coin, the next step is to have it professionally evaluated. Many reputable coin dealers and numismatists specialize in identifying rare coins and minting errors. They can provide an official appraisal and help you understand just how much your coin is worth. In some cases, the penny could be worth more than you ever imagined. And if you have a coin with a particularly rare and significant error, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for, the value of the 1981 US penny. If you happen to find one of these rare, error-struck pennies, you could be in for a very big reward. Coins with significant errors can easily fetch several $100s, depending on their condition and the type of error. But the highest-selling 1981 penny with a minting error recently sold for an astonishing $51,000. Yes, you heard that right, $51,000 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that something so small could be worth that much, but the rarity and uniqueness of these error coins make them incredibly valuable in the eyes of collectors. So, what does this mean for you as a coin collector or enthusiast? Well, it's a reminder to always keep an eye out for those small details and subtle differences that could make a coin special. The 1981 penny may seem like just another piece of change, but for the right collector, it could be a life-changing discovery. If you happen to find a 1981 penny with an error, take good care of it. Store it in a safe place, avoid handling it too much, and consider getting it professionally graded. You could be sitting on a valuable piece of history. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you that not all 1981 pennies are going to be worth thousands of dollars. Most of them, especially those without any minting errors, are still worth just 1 cent. But the thrill of coin collecting is in the hunt. Who knows what you might find hidden in your pocket change or a jar of loose coins? Thank you for joining us today and exploring the world of the 1981 US penny. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins and their hidden values, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And, as always, happy collecting. Top 2. In this video, we're going to explore a fascinating piece of American currency, the United States 1-cent coin from 1985. This seemingly ordinary penny might be sitting in your collection or even in your spare change jar, but little do many people know, it could be worth far more than just 1 cent. Stick around to the end, because we'll be revealing how much this 1985 penny could fetch today if you have the right one. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Now, at first glance, the 1985 penny doesn't look any different from the many other pennies minted around the same time. It has the classic design with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The penny was still being minted from a copper-plated zinc composition in 1985, and this was the same design used on pennies for many years. But while this penny may seem like just another piece of everyday currency, the truth is that the 1985 penny holds something special for collectors, and if you're lucky enough to find one in pristine condition, or even with a rare minting error, you could be holding on to something incredibly valuable. Before we dive into the details of what makes the 1985 penny so sought after, let's take a quick look at the historical context of the time. The mid-1980s in the United States was a period of significant economic change. President Ronald Reagan was in office, and the country was experiencing a period of economic growth after a long recession in the early 1980s. During this time, the U.S. Mint was actively working to ensure that the nation's coinage was up to date with the changing economy and technological advances. The 1985 penny is a part of this effort, and while it was mass-produced, finding one in pristine or near-mint condition is becoming increasingly rare, which is what makes these pennies so appealing to collectors. So, what makes the 1985 penny stand out from the millions of other pennies minted in the same year? The first thing we need to look at is the rarity of well-preserved examples. Most of the 1985 pennies were put into circulation and have seen years of wear and tear. This means that finding one in mint or near-mint condition can be a bit of a challenge. Over time, most pennies become scratched, scuffed, or tarnished, especially when they've been in circulation for decades. But for collectors, a penny that's been carefully preserved can be worth a lot more than its face value. Coins that are free from wear, dents, or discoloration are considered to be in uncirculated condition, and these coins are the most desirable in the coin collecting world. In addition to condition, there's another factor that can significantly increase the value of the 1985 penny: minting errors. Every year, a few coins are struck with errors during the minting process. These errors can range from small imperfections to major mistakes, and collectors go wild over these kinds of coins because they're so unique. Minting errors can happen in a variety of ways. Sometimes, the coin dies used to strike the design can wear out or become misaligned, resulting in double strikes or off-center designs. Other times, foreign objects or debris can get caught in the minting process, causing an anomaly on the surface of the coin. These mistakes, however minor they may seem, can make the penny much more valuable in the eyes of collectors. So, what kind of minting errors should you look for on your 1985 penny? One of the most common errors is the double die variety, where the image of Abraham Lincoln is slightly duplicated, creating a ghostly second image. This happens when the die strikes the coin multiple times, leaving behind an unintended imprint of Lincoln's image. These coins are highly sought after because they are so rare and distinct, and they stand out from other pennies in a collection. Another potential error to look for is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned with the minting die, causing the design to appear shifted or misaligned. If you have a 1985 penny with any of these errors, it could significantly increase its value. It's important to note that not all minting errors are created equal. Some errors are more dramatic than others, and the more obvious the mistake, the higher the coin's value can be. Minor errors might still increase the coin's worth, but the larger or more unique the flaw, the more collectors will be willing to pay. In fact, error coins are often the crown jewels of any collection because they are one-of-a-kind pieces, and it's this rarity that drives up their price. Now that we've talked about the importance of condition and errors, let's get to the exciting part. How much is the 1985 penny actually worth? As with most rare coins, the value of the 1985 penny can vary widely depending on factors like condition, rarity, and demand. A standard 1985 penny in average circulated condition is still worth just 1 cent, but when it comes to those uncirculated or error-struck examples, the value can be drastically higher. In fact, a 1985 penny with a rare minting error, especially one in pristine condition, can be worth thousands of dollars. But here's the kicker: if you happen to own a particularly rare version of the 1985 penny, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The highest known sale of a 1985 penny with a significant error reached a jaw-dropping $55,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $55,000 for a single penny. That's a far cry from the coin's face value of just 1 cent. But it goes to show how valuable a rare and well-preserved 1985 penny can be. So, what does this mean for you as a collector? It's a reminder to always check your coins carefully. If you happen to come across a 1985 penny in your collection, take a moment to inspect it closely. Look for any signs of minting errors or signs of pristine condition. If you think you found something rare, it might be worth getting the coin professionally graded to understand its true value. Before we wrap up, I want to emphasize that while the 1985 penny can be worth a lot, not every penny from that year will fetch thousands of dollars. Most 1985 pennies will remain just worth 1 cent. But for those who take the time to look for rare minting errors and preserved examples, the hunt can be a rewarding experience. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just getting started, remember that sometimes the most valuable coins are hidden in plain sight. Top 3, we're diving deep into the world of the United States 1-cent coin from 1987, a coin that may look like just another penny but holds secrets that could make it worth thousands. You might have a few of these in your pocket change, but what if I told you that some of these pennies are actually worth far more than face value? Stick with me until the end of this video, and I'll reveal just how much the 1987 penny could be worth to a collector. At first glance, the 1987 penny looks like the familiar copper-plated piece of currency that's been circulating for decades. Featuring the timeless image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, it's easy to overlook this penny as just another piece of change. But what makes the 1987 1-cent coin unique is its potential rarity, particularly when it comes to finding examples in excellent condition or with minting errors. Today, we're going to look at why the 1987 penny is so valuable and why collectors are paying attention to this seemingly simple coin. The 1987 penny, minted during the tail end of the 1980s, was produced in a time of significant change for U.S. currency. The U.S. Mint was still using a copper-plated zinc composition for the penny in 1987, but a significant change was on the horizon. In 1982, the Mint began shifting from a nearly pure copper penny to a copper-plated zinc penny, which would become the standard for all future pennies. The 1987 penny, therefore, stands as part of that transitional period when the U.S. Mint was working to balance the cost of production with the value of the coin. So while it may seem like an ordinary penny, it represents an important part of U.S. currency history. But let's talk about what truly sets the 1987 penny apart from other coins in the same series. For the most part, the penny is one of the most common coins in circulation, and finding a 1987 penny that hasn't been heavily worn or damaged can be a bit of a challenge. Like most coins, the 1987 penny was used extensively in daily transactions, which means that most of the coins you'll find today are worn down, tarnished, or scratched from years of circulation. However, if you're lucky enough to find an uncirculated example, you could have something quite valuable on your hands. Uncirculated coins are prized by collectors because they've been well preserved, and their value is significantly higher than a typical coin that's been in circulation. While condition plays a significant role in determining a coin's value, it's not the only factor that could make the 1987 penny worth a considerable amount of money. Another aspect that could greatly increase the value of your 1987 penny is the possibility of a minting error. Minting errors are common in the world of coin collecting, and they can happen during the production process, when coins are struck by the minting dies. These errors can range from small flaws to major mistakes, and error coins are highly sought after by collectors because they are one-of-a-kind. One of the most desirable errors that collectors look for in the 1987 penny is a double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the same die, creating a blurry or doubled image. In the case of the 1987 penny, a double die error would result in a Lincoln portrait that appears doubled or slightly out of alignment. These types of errors are rare, and a double die 1987 penny can sell for much more than a standard, circulated coin. Minting errors like this are often what sets ordinary coins apart from those that can fetch incredible prices at auction. Another potential error to look for on the 1987 penny is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned with the minting die, causing the design to be struck off-center on the coin. The result is a coin with a shifted or distorted image, which collectors find particularly interesting. Off-center strikes can vary in severity, and the more extreme the error, the more valuable the coin can become. These types of errors can add a unique touch to any coin collection and make the 1987 penny an even more exciting find. In addition to these two common types of errors, there are other variations to look out for on the 1987 penny, such as die cracks or repunched mint marks. A die crack occurs when a crack forms in the die used to strike the coins, and this crack appears on the coin as a raised line or mark. Repunched mint marks are a result of the mint mark being punched into the coin die multiple times, creating a slightly misplaced or doubled mint mark. These errors, although less common, can also increase the value of the coin and make it more appealing to collectors. So, you're probably wondering by now, how much is the 1987 penny actually worth? As with any coin, the value can vary depending on the condition of the coin, the rarity of any errors, and the demand from collectors. In general, a typical 1987 penny in good condition is worth only its face value of 1 cent. However, when you factor in the potential for rare minting errors or uncirculated examples, the value can jump dramatically. If you happen to have a 1987 penny with a significant minting error, like a double die or off-center strike, you could be looking at a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But here's the kicker, some of these rare 1987 pennies have sold for as much as $45,000. Yes, you heard that right, $45,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a small, everyday coin could be worth so much, but the rarity of certain error coins and their appeal to collectors is what drives these prices to such astronomical heights. If you have any 1987 pennies lying around in your collection, now is the time to take a closer look at them. Check for any signs of minting errors, or see if you have an uncirculated example. If you find something unique or rare, it might be worth getting the coin professionally graded to find out just how much it could be worth. You could be sitting on a valuable piece of American history. Top 4, we're going to dive into the fascinating world of the 1989 United States 1-cent coin, a coin that might just be sitting in your pocket or collection right now, but it could be worth far more than its face value. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll learn how a simple penny from 1989 could potentially fetch a mind-blowing price. You won't want to miss this. When you think of a penny, it's easy to imagine a coin that is just a common, everyday item. In fact, we probably all have a few in our pockets right now that we hardly even give a second glance. But as any experienced coin collector will tell you, there are hidden treasures in these seemingly ordinary pieces of currency, and the 1989 penny is one of those hidden gems. To understand why this particular penny could be worth so much more than its humble 1 cent, we need to first take a look at the history behind it and what sets it apart from the millions of other pennies minted that year. The 1989 penny, like most pennies from the 1980s, features the classic design of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side. This iconic portrait of the 16th President of the United States has been the design on the U.S. penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the nation's history and values. This design had been in circulation for decades, and while it may seem familiar to most, the true value of a coin lies not just in its design, but in its rarity, condition, and any potential errors that might have occurred during the minting process. The 1989 penny was produced in large numbers, with billions of these coins being struck at the U.S. Mint. This means that finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is quite rare. Most of the 1989 pennies you'll find today have been circulated extensively, which means they've been worn down over time by friction and exposure. As a result, these coins tend to have scratches, discoloration, and other signs of wear. But here's where it gets interesting. If you happen to come across a 1989 penny that has been preserved in excellent condition, or even one that has a rare minting error, it could be worth much more than its face value. One of the biggest factors that can increase the value of the 1989 penny is its condition. Coins that are free from scratches, dents, or tarnishing are considered to be in uncirculated or mint condition. These coins are highly prized by collectors because they represent the coin in its most pristine form, as it was when it was first minted. Most pennies, especially those from a high mintage year like 1989, are likely to be worn out by the time they reach collectors' hands. But if you happen to find a 1989 penny that has been well taken care of, or perhaps stored in a safe place for decades, you might be sitting on a valuable piece of history. But it's not just the condition of the coin that can make it valuable. Sometimes, it's the errors that occur during the minting process that truly make a penny shine. Minting errors are common in the world of coin collecting, and they can take many forms. For example, the U.S. Mint uses dies to strike the design onto the coin, and sometimes those dies can become damaged or misaligned, resulting in errors on the final product. One of the most sought-after types of errors for collectors is the double die error, where the design on the coin appears to be duplicated or offset because the coin was struck multiple times by the same die. In the case of the 1989 penny, a double die error could result in a noticeable doubling of Abraham Lincoln's portrait or the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" on the obverse side of the coin. This kind of error is highly collectible, and coins with a double die error are typically worth much more than a regular penny. But the double die error is just one type of minting mistake that can make the 1989 penny more valuable. Another possible error is the off-center strike, where the coin is struck off-center, causing the design to be misaligned. This creates a coin with an unusual and unique appearance that collectors are eager to get their hands on. In addition to these errors, other types of minting flaws, like die cracks or repunched mint marks, can also make a 1989 penny more valuable. A die crack occurs when a crack forms in the minting die, which then gets transferred to the coin when it's struck. This crack appears as a raised line or mark on the coin, and some collectors find these imperfections to be particularly interesting. Similarly, a repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco, is stamped multiple times, creating a slightly misplaced or doubled mint mark. These kinds of errors may seem small, but to a serious collector, they can dramatically increase the value of the coin. Now, let's talk about the most exciting part: how much could your 1989 penny actually be worth? As with any rare coin, the value depends on a number of factors, including the condition of the coin, whether it has any minting errors, and the demand for that particular error or variety. Most 1989 pennies in average condition are worth only 1 cent, just like any other penny. But when you factor in the possibility of finding a rare error coin or an uncirculated example, the value can skyrocket. For example, a 1989 penny with a major minting error, such as a double die or off-center strike, could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But here's where things get really interesting. Some of the rarest 1989 pennies, those in uncirculated condition with dramatic minting errors, have sold for as much as $42,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $42,000 for a single penny. That's a lot of money for a coin that is so small and so often overlooked. But as any seasoned coin collector will tell you, sometimes the most valuable coins are the ones you least expect. If you have a 1989 penny in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look to see if you found one with a rare error or in uncirculated condition. If you think you found something special, it might be worth getting the coin professionally graded by a trusted numismatist. A professional grading service can assess the condition of the coin, check for errors, and help you understand its true market value. Top 5 and last coin, we're going to talk about a fascinating coin that you may have overlooked in your collection or possibly come across in your pocket change, the 1992 United States 1-cent coin. While it may look like just another penny, there's so much more to this little coin than meets the eye. Stick with me as we take a closer look at why the 1992 penny is not just a piece of currency, but a potential hidden gem worth a lot more than its face value. The 1992 penny, like many others before and after it, features the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side. This portrait of Lincoln has graced the penny since 1909, making it one of the most enduring and iconic designs in American coinage history. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of the nation's strength and unity. It's a design that has become so familiar to Americans that we might not think much of it. However, what makes the 1992 penny special is not just the design, but the story behind it, and what collectors look for in this seemingly ordinary coin. The 1992 penny, like many other coins in its series, was minted in vast quantities by the U.S. Mint. The penny, which was produced primarily at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, is not particularly rare when it comes to its production numbers. In fact, there were billions of these coins made that year. So why should we be paying attention to the 1992 penny when it seems to be so common? Well, the answer lies in something collectors and numismatists know all too well: the condition and potential minting errors that can make a single coin worth much more than its original face value. First, let's talk about condition. Most of the 1992 pennies you'll come across today have been in circulation for years. Like any coin that spends time in our pockets or in cash registers, these pennies typically show signs of wear and tear. They might have scratches, scuff marks, or discoloration, which all take away from the coin's value. But if you happen to find a 1992 penny that has been carefully stored or hasn't been in circulation for long, you may have an uncirculated coin on your hands. These coins are prized by collectors because they're essentially in the same condition they were in when they were first struck by the U.S. Mint. In uncirculated condition, a 1992 penny can fetch a much higher price than a worn or damaged coin. Now, let's dive into something even more exciting: minting errors. Minting errors are one of the main reasons certain coins, like the 1992 penny, can be worth much more than face value. As coins are struck by the mint's dies, mistakes can happen. Sometimes these errors are minor, but other times they can be significant, creating coins that are highly sought after by collectors. The 1992 penny has some notable errors that can dramatically increase its value. One of the most coveted errors in any coin series is the double die error. A double die occurs when the coin is struck multiple times by the same die, resulting in a design that appears doubled or slightly off-center. On the 1992 penny, this could mean a doubling of Lincoln's portrait, the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," or even the date. This type of error can be very subtle or very pronounced, depending on how many times the die was struck, but no matter the severity, collectors love these coins because they're one of a kind. The more pronounced the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. If you happen to have a 1992 penny with a double die error, it could be worth a substantial amount more than a regular coin. Another minting error to look for on the 1992 penny is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not aligned properly with the die during the minting process. As a result, the design appears off-center, leaving part of the coin blank or with an incomplete design. Off-center coins are rare and highly collectible, especially if the error is severe enough to make the coin look unusual. The more extreme the error, the more valuable the coin is to collectors. A 1992 penny with an off-center strike could easily be worth much more than its face value, especially if the error is dramatic and creates a visually interesting coin. In addition to these more common minting errors, there are other types of mistakes that can occur during the production of a coin, such as die cracks, repunched mint marks, or even wrong planchets being used. A die crack happens when the die used to strike the coin develops a crack, which then appears on the coin's surface as a raised line. These cracks can be subtle or large, but they're all considered minting imperfections, and they can increase a coin's value. A repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco, is stamped multiple times, creating a slightly misaligned or doubled mint mark. These errors are particularly interesting to collectors who love finding unusual or rare variations of coins. You might be wondering by now, how much could my 1992 penny be worth? Well, it really depends on the condition of the coin, the rarity of any errors, and the current demand from collectors. A typical 1992 penny in average condition is worth just 1 cent, like most other pennies. But when you factor in rare minting errors or coins that have been preserved in mint condition, the value can go way up. For example, a 1992 penny with a double die error or off-center strike could be worth hundreds of dollars to the right collector, but here's the kicker: certain 1992 pennies, particularly those with significant errors or those in uncirculated condition, have sold for as much as $40,000. Yes, you read that right, $40,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a small, seemingly insignificant coin could be worth so much, but that's the power of rare minting errors and the right conditions. If you happen to find one of these rare 1992 pennies, you could be holding a piece of history that could fetch a significant sum at auction or from collectors. So, if you have a collection of pennies or happen to find a 1992 penny in your pocket change, take a closer look at it. Check for any signs of minting errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. Even if your coin looks worn, it's worth checking with a professional coin grader to see if it's worth more than you think. You never know, that simple penny could be worth thousands of dollars. Thank you so much for joining me today as we uncovered the value of the 1992 United States penny. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future coin discoveries. Until next time, happy collecting, and keep an eye out for those rare finds that could be hiding right under your nose.